Oh, it would be helpful if my microphone was on. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Renata. Let me know if you can hear me now. So let me start my welcome again. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Amplify Your Brilliance Monday. So, this is my weekly time where I give you tools to activate your faith alongside your purpose as you grow your purpose focused business, grow and or start. Excited to be here with you for another week. So, I was getting all my stuff set up and moved my microphone and I must have turned it off. So, thank you, Renata, for letting me know you couldn't hear me. Excited to be here with you. So, our conversation for today is beyond the cross. Beyond the cross. So, as we are filming this episode, it's the day after Easter. Those of you that are here with me live, you know this, right? I think it's apropos to talk about this because listen, I posted this yesterday and I'm going to read it word for word. So this is a quote from TD Jakes that says the cross is the transportation, not the destination. I'll say that one more time. The cross is the transportation, not the destination. So what does that mean? Right? Now, of course, Jesus died to be our savior, but he also died to be an example to us. I want y'all to get this. It's so important, right? So, hey, Sharon and Renata and Evelyn and Kenyatta, everybody, Evelyn and Kenyatta, tell everybody where you're joining from, right? And I do that because, listen, you might see a sister friend that's up the street from you that could be your accountability partner as you're growing your business, right? So, I really want you guys to understand this. So, if Jesus is our example, I want you to understand that there will be crosses that you will have to bear. Now, of course, our cross is not going to look like Jesus with somebody, hanging us to die. But there will be some things that God will intentionally allow you to go through so you can grow through it. And so I'm going to give you two tools. But before I start to give you the tools, I want to share a couple stories with you to give you perspective on what I mean, right? So Detroit's in the house, Philly's in the house. Yes, love it. Texas is in the house. So one of my favorite examples to use, hey, Rosalind in Nashville, is Joseph. Now, we've all heard the story of Joseph and his amazing Technicolor dream coat. So, anytime I tell you a story, just know this is a story according to Nicole Roberts Jones. If you want to read the whole story of Joseph, go to Genesis 27 through 50, the whole chapters. That's the whole story, right? So this is the cliff note, and then there's a little South Central LA in the car, a little education in the car, so you get a whole blend of all of that, right? My girlfriend calls me bougetto, so you get a little bougie, little ghetto, you get both. Right? So, with that said, Joseph and his amazing Technicolor dream coat. So Joseph is his father's favorite. He's his father's favorite out of, I think it was seven or no, out of eight brothers he had. So it was nine sons. He was his father's favorite. And so that meant that he had a little hateration from his brothers, right? And then on top of that, his father gave him this beautiful coat of many colors. So his brothers were hating on him, like, well, how come I didn't get a coat? What's up with that? Right? So in the middle of his brothers hating on him, then Joseph has the audacity to tell them one morning. Now Joseph is excited, but he tells his brothers, "Hey, I had a dream last night that y'all were gonna work for me." So they're like, "Oh, he done lost his mind now." He has lost his mind, right? Sorry, my allergies are. Ugh. Took my medicine, but it hasn't activated yet. So his brothers, by the way, this is water with my vitamins in it. So I'm not drinking orange soda, right? So I want y'all to really get this. So his brothers are hating on him. Are like, this brother has lost his mind. So now he gonna act like we gonna work for him. And so they put a plot to get rid of him. They come together and go, we got to get rid of him. So at first they were going to kill him, but the brothers that they assigned to kill him didn't have the heart to do it. So what they did was they sold him into slavery. Okay. Making a long story short. I'm making a really long story short. There's way more in between. Okay. So he goes off to be a slave. Now, let me back up. See, God gave Joseph a vision that he was going to rule all the land. Okay. But then vision happens. But then what happens between the vision and the fulfillment of it? Just like Jesus had to die on the cross before the vision of what God had him come to earth to do to happen. Again, it's the transportation, not the destination. Okay. Says Jesus, we celebrated his rise, but have you really thought about why? Why did God have Jesus on the cross and let him hang there for now? The Bible says 3 hours. I've heard some Bible scholars say it was a whole day. And then all the stuff he went through on the way to the cross. Why would God have him go through all of that? I want y'all to think about that because he's more than our savior. He's our example. So now let's talk about Joseph. So Joseph gets sold into slavery. So he has a vision, tells his brothers, they hate on him, gets sold into slavery. He goes to Egypt, works for Potiphar. He goes to Potiphar's house, who's the ruler of the land. And I'm probably messing up names, y'all, but listen to the story. Don't get caught up on semantics because the story will be right. So gets sold to slavery, goes to Potiphar's house. He has favor again. So Potiphar's wife looks at him one day and goes, I think he kind of cute. And she throws herself at him. And he's like, nope, I'm not. No, no, no. So she lies and tells her husband that he tried to sleep with me. Hater, another hater. He's experienced 2 haters now. Then he gets thrown into jail. Now he's in jail. I'm telling a long story short, y'all, right? Now he's in jail. And I want you to realize in the Bible, it never once says any retaliation that Joseph tries to do to anyone after they do bad things to him. So now he's in jail. He's in jail and he's hanging out with the people in jail and he meets a baker that used to work for Potiphar and he interprets the baker's dream. And the baker's blown away at the interpretation of the dream. Not going to go with the interpretation. That's not the point. But when the baker's getting ready to be released, Joseph says, remember me and tell the king about me. Baker gets released. Baker forgets about Joseph. So it's years later, and the king is having these dreams, and he's trying to figure out what the dreams mean. And then the baker says, oh, I know who can help you with your dreams. There was this guy I met in jail a couple years ago. Homeboy can help you. So Joseph gets out of jail. Not only does Joseph interpret the dreams, I want y'all to get this, but now the king puts him second in command. So it's the king and then Joseph. So there's a famine all over the land except for in Egypt. So to make an even longer story short, the father sends the brothers to Egypt to ask for food. Now the brothers think that Joseph is well, they some of them thought he was dead. Father definitely thought he was dead. The brothers that sold him into slavery knew he was gone. But that was years before this happened. So the brothers come to Egypt. Joseph recognizes his brothers. To make a really long story short, that moment is the realization of his dream. Y'all get that? But all the things he went through before he got to that place. So of course, he gave his brothers food. Of course, they brought the brother. They had food, all of that. But that was a realization of the dream. I want you to get that. So if I give you another example, and then I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you 2 steps, and I want you guys to get this. This is still in our series. We'll be in this series until the end of May. Don't stay stuck. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because many of you guys will be focused on the cross and not focused on what you're learning from it. I talked about that a little bit last week. By the way, if you miss any episodes, everything I teach builds one on the next. You can always watch previous episodes of Amplify Your Brains Mondays on my YouTube channel at nrjnetwork.com. Of course, you can watch them here on Facebook, but you got to scroll all the way through Facebook. And my YouTube channel is one whole line. So you can watch last week and the week before. This episode will be there for replay as well. Okay. Again, that's the nrjnetwork.com. Try to make it easy for you, right? So with that said, another example, if I use my own life, because I didn't realize what God was doing in the middle of it, but I see it now. I see the transportation. Now, many of you guys have heard my story that I worked in the entertainment industry. I had the job I've wanted since I was 7 years old, and I loved every minute of it. Loved it. And then one day I just felt like something was off. I felt like something was missing, and I didn't understand how I felt because this was my dream. See, what I didn't realize in that moment is my purpose was calling. So it wasn't that I wasn't supposed to do that. God had more for me to do. So to make a long story short, one of my girlfriends one night in the middle of me feeling dazed and confused, invited me to work at a youth program at a church one night. And as I worked with young women in that church, I realized, oh my God, this is what I'm meant to do. So I started working with young women. I started, matter of fact, from that moment, I left entertainment. I made that small one program at my church into a national nonprofit. I had 10 chapters in 10 cities in states throughout the country. That program was called Amplify Christ. Some of you guys know that work. I started that in 1993. By 2013, again, here I was at a crossroad in my business. And I had started coaching women. So I had that nonprofit working with teenage girls, but I started coaching women like many of you to really start your purpose focused business, get clear on your purpose and how to align it with the work you do. And so as I started doing this work with women, my nonprofit started to not work. And I didn't understand. I had been doing it for 20 years by then. Okay. And it just started to not work. Like chapters, I started a chapter, I trained the women, and then the women would quit. Not because anything I had done. They just one had a baby, one got married. I mean, so then I have to go in and train another woman, and then the same thing would happen. And then I start a chapter and it'd be going good for 6 months, and then something would happen to that woman. It's just like, so I said, Lord, what's going on? And here's what God said back to me. And I'm going to tell you the truth. This is the real truth. God said to me, why do you keep trying to resuscitate a dead baby? Let the baby die. I'm like, that's what you're going to say to me, Lord? But what I realize now is me working with young women taught me how to do the work that I'm doing now with all of you. God used that to cut my teeth. Those of you that have had babies, in this purpose focused work that I do. Because when I worked in entertainment, keep in mind, I worked in casting and talent management. What do I do now? Casting and talent management. In addition to uh, casting you in your purpose focused business, helping you make money from it, seeing what your gift is, which is what I was really good at. Baby, let me tell you something. I was so good at casting. I was loved it. Listen, I still, well, I haven't got a call in a couple of years, but I still would get a call at least once a year for a good, I left entertainment in 1996. I think the last time I got a call, probably what year is this? 2021. I probably last time I got a call was maybe 2006. That's real talk. I would get an offer at least once a year to come and do some casting or something because I was good at it. But I want you to get this. That was God growing me. I had to work in entertainment to grow my gift there. I work with teenage girls to grow my gift. Those two things are the culmination of what I do now. That was transportation. What God does is he teaches you level upon level. It's like going to school. You know, you don't start at high school. You got to go through elementary school, learn your ABCs. You got to go through junior high school. You've got to go through high school. You've got to matriculate through the education system. Well, God does the same thing. You got to matriculate through the purpose system. Come on, somebody. So matriculate through the purpose system. You got to do two things. And I'm going to look down in my notes because I got a lot to give y'all tonight, right? So the first thing you got to do is shift your perspective. See, the reason why Joseph, I believe, was able to go through all of that is because he wasn't focused on what he was going through. He was focused on that vision because he knew that the vision God gave him will come to pass. Though the vision tarry, wait for it. You know, Habakkuk 2:1, I think it is, write the vision and make it plain. The part after that says, though the vision tarry, wait for it. So it doesn't say wait and hoping like, oh, this is never going to happen. Oh, this is taking too long. No. Now, of course, you know, we don't know if the person that wrote the story of Joseph in Genesis left some things out. Maybe Joseph was bitter, but I doubt if he was bitter, all these opportunities would have been happening for him. So when you shift your perspective, you begin to see and stay focused on what's after that. Now, listen, the thing that's deep is I looked up what does perspective mean, right? So it's anytime God gives me something, He gives me a word, I always look it up, and I know He knows that. That's why He probably puts a word in my spirit, right? By the way, if you guys have questions about what I'm saying, if this is good to you, I'm looking at your comments, right? I know, Rosa, you like my bougie and ghetto, bougetto. So with that said, y'all, the meaning of the word is a mental view. Listen, the capacity to view things in their true relation or relative importance. I'll say that one more time. It's a capacity to view things in their true relation or relative importance. That makes me think of the breakup I had before my husband. It was really bad in public and it could have been humiliating. But I had to shift my perspective and I started saying to myself, now mind you, I was saying this to myself when I wasn't feeling it, that God would never bless me with that mess. I know God has something better for me. I had to say it over and over and over again. I promise you, listen, had I not done that, I met my husband actually the next day. Now I was still a little on the bitter side, but I kept saying the thing that I knew I needed to say to shift my perspective so I could become better and not bitter. This is fundamental to you not staying stuck. That's why I believe Joseph kept matriculating despite what he was going through because he kept focusing on the vision, not on what was happening. Okay. Now, if I go deeper into perspective, the origin of the word is the science of optics. And y'all know what optics means because listen, if you like me, I have on my contacts. I go to the obstetrician, whatever, but it's optics, right? What's the name of the all of a sudden went out of my head. The eye doctor is an obstetrician. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let me not even try to. Every now and then I have a little senior moment. I'm having one right now. Gotta love menopause, right? God knows what's the best, right? He definitely does. We're not to say, yes, God knows what's best because he knows what's ahead of you, right? And if we can focus on God and not what we can see. Remember, I think I talked about this last week, mind sight and eyesight, right? Opt right. However you say that. I'm having a ebonic moment. I told you guys, if you've been with me for a while, by the way, this is your first time, tell me it's your first time. Listen, I just get in trouble every day for talking too much. And so I know I must have been talking in the phonetics class because I always have. I'm hooked on phonics. hmm Anyway, so with that said, y'all, optics means to look through. So your perspective is how you look at something. So you can focus on things being bad or you can find the lesson. You can focus on things hurting or you can overcome it and move up. Look, you can stand on it or you can stand on you. Need y'all to get that. See, the key is looking beyond what you can see to see God's perspective for you. So I got text messages going, I got all kind of stuff going, right? So one is to shift your perspective. I think that's so key because if Joseph didn't shift his perspective, and listen, even Jesus, right before he went to the cross, remember the Garden of Gethsemane when he said, God, do I have to go through this? Please take this cup from me. This is hard. So God never said it wasn't going to be hard. But then Jesus said, you know what? Thy will be done. Thy will be done. I want y'all to really, really get this. Okay. And if you've been around me and you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and you see my posts, you see that I say all the time that your conviction and convenience can never coexist. Many of you want to start businesses, but you want it to be easy and convenient. That ain't real. If that was the case, everybody would be at Oprah like status. I can't say that enough. God is always going to give you an abundant plan in your soul. He has DNA. He put DNA in you that's tied to you living abundantly. My question to you is, will you do what it takes to go and get it? Which moves us to number two. So number one is shifting perspective. Number two, you've got to be willing to persevere. You got to stay on the cross. Now, crosses don't have to always be a bad thing. For me, my cross could have been Imani Christ. And when it was time for me to let it go, I could have stayed stuck there. By the way, when I asked God, why are you just not telling me this? I'm like, you could have told me this a long time ago. I've been doing this for 20 years. Number one, God said your ego couldn't take it. Because my ego was tied. My identity was tied to that organization, and God had more for me. I'm sharing that because many of you are tied to a position. You're tied to a degree. You're tied to who everybody else knows you to be instead of the version of you that God created you to be. And he's letting you grow in levels. So you got to be willing to do the work to shift so you can get to that next level. Y'all get that? That's that shifting the perspective. But again, perseverance, right? See, the enemy wants to distract you from your purpose. So what he'll do is make it so hard that you want to quit. That's what I believe the Garden of Gethsemane was for Jesus. Listen, Jesus was in the flesh just like everybody else. I appreciate you, Brenda, saying my hair is pretty, girl, but I ain't here for my hair. I'm here for you to get this word. I want y'all to get this because God put something so special in you. If you don't check your perspective and you don't prepare yourself to persevere, you will not get the blessing God has in store for you. hmm And you won't be the answer to all the people that are waiting for you. I posted this morning. Your assignment has an audience, meaning that you have a group of people that are tied to that purpose in you. You are their answer. So if you don't persevere, it's like, how many of you guys, I remember when I first started frying chicken. This is true talk. And I fried the chicken. I put the grease on. I made it really, really hot. And this is me in the dorms back in the day. Like, no, not dorms. When I got my first apartment, and I had never really cooked anything. And now I live away from my mom, and I'm trying to make that fried chicken like she does it. And put the chicken. I washed the chicken really well. I seasoned it. I put it in that flour. I shook it up in the bag. You did all the stuff I was supposed to do to make my fried chicken. I got my oil on high. Put that chicken in that oil, and that chicken cooked. I was like, yes, got it out brown. Looks perfect. Let me tell y'all, the inside of that chicken was red and excuse me, was pink. Hey, Edith in Vegas. It was pink on the inside. Y'all know why? Because I had the heat up really, really high and I didn't cook it low, steady, medium. And some of y'all want things to be quick. So you try to rush through your transformation. God doesn't work like that. You'll be that pink in the center fried chicken. You keep trying to do it like that. You've got to take your time and allow God to do the work that He wants to do in you. You got to stop trying to rush it, trying to find a shortcut. There's no shortcut to success. There's no shortcut to your abundantly above all. You've got to be willing to do the work to get there. I've been doing this for this year will be 28 years. Oh, God gave me a vision when I first started, and I'm not yet there. But I'm beginning to see how He's used, what's that Bible verse? All things work together for the good, not some things. All things work together for the good. Renata says, I need to shift my perspective and look through God's lens and not my blurry vision. I'm willing to pull up my sleeves and do the work. I've had my hand-picked individuals waiting for too long. Come on, Renata. And the thing I love about this fact that you said vision, because listen, last year was 2020 and we were in COVID. And so many people had a vision. They were saying things were off and oh, COVID. No, God's intentional. He knew what He was doing when He gave us the COVID. The COVID. I sound like my mother. I was telling my husband the other day, my mother was saying the COVID. It's like, mommy, it's called COVID, not the COVID. Anyway, God knew what He was doing now I'm not talking about the people that have passed. Any of you that have lost people, my condolences to you. But all of us that have been on pause, see, God intended you to get really focused on your vision in this pause. And some of y'all got blurry vision. So 2020 was a year of vision. Some of y'all came out of 2020 blurry. So you better hurry up and level set before we get out of this. I want you to really, really, really get this, y'all. I appreciate you, Edith, but I want you listen to be activated. So those of you that have questions as I'm sharing, please make sure, right? And yes, Edith, I'll tell you how to download the sheets in the journal in 1 second. Okay. Now, there's two things I want you to get. This is what Joseph says to his brothers after he went through all of that. This is Genesis 50:20. He said, but you meant it for evil against me, but God meant it for good. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. When I think about my ex-boyfriend, right before my husband, had I not broke up with him, let me tell you something. My husband is my absolute best friend. Look, I had a man written down on a sheet. He checked off all those boxes and boxes I didn't even know to ask for. It amazes me sometimes how I'll be thinking something. I'll say a word and then I think a song and he'll sing the song. It's like, oh, and I'm not saying it to brag, but had I given up on love, and I did for a second, had I given up on my business when it wasn't working, because my nonprofit wasn't working. But what also God was doing was using that to grow me into doing this. So my question to you, and as you do your work this week, right? And here's your journal. So by the way, here's where you get your journal. Let me explain it, okay? So you have to go into my Facebook group. You join the Facebook group, thebridgetribe.com. So they get posted every evening at 7:30 p.m. If you go into the Brilliance Tribe, go to the files section. You'll see it at the top, all the different things you click on. Go into the files section. You'll see this is week 13. We're in week 13. Can you believe that? Right? So the bridgetribe.com, my Facebook group. Those of you that are not a member of the group, you're more than welcome to join. Please know if you do not answer the questions, my team will not admit you in the group. Okay, number one. Number two, again, go in the files section and you'll get this week's, right? So in this week's, I'll walk you through activities to really, really start to shift your perspective. And if you really want to go after the next best version of you, see, God never comes for who you already are. He's coming for who you have not yet become, which means you will need new tools. You will need new tools. Those of you that are looking to start or grow a business, purpose focused, you're not clear what your purpose is, or your business you started and it's not working, I have a special gift that I'm going to announce on Thursday morning. So keep your eye open in social media. If you join the Brilliance Tribe, you also, one of the questions I ask is for your email address, and we send you emails. So you'll also get an email about it on Thursday. I have a special training I've been working on just for you, from all of you that have been asking me questions about your purpose and lacking clarity and not knowing how to move it forward. All right. So that's our conversation for today. It's beyond the cross. It's looking beyond what you're going through to all that you are purposed to do or be. Understanding that everything teaches you great lessons. Find the lesson, learn it so that God can use you, right? Learn the lesson and don't stay stuck on what he did or what she said. And you can't do anything about anybody else except for you. So you get to make a new choice with how things either stay in your spirit or you let them go and grow from it, right? I'm learning to let God lead and me follow. Yes, Robin. Yes. And let me tell you guys something. That's easier said than done, especially when you're going through something hard. Again, Jesus is our example. The cross wasn't easy, but he knew he had to go through that for all of us. So, what are you willing to go through for the people that need you? What are you willing to do so that you can? It's not just about getting paid, it's about you being the answer to a group of people that need you. And God's give back to you is for you to get paid for it so that you can live an abundant life. And when I talk about abundant life, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about in relationships. I'm talking about in love. I'm talking about in health. I'm talking about a holistic, abundant life. So again, grab your sheet. It'll be in the Brilliance Tribe at 7:30. Do the work, y'all. I give you a sheet, one sheet a week. My suggestion to you is get a journal. 20 minutes. Think about this for the week. It will bless you. I promise you that. Because listen, your business will never outgrow you. It won't. So if you don't sit in the being work I give you on these Mondays, you'll be stuck right where you are in 2022. And I don't want that for you. Bad enough. Some of y'all are in blurry vision from 2020. Let's get you right in 2021. All right. So if any of what I have shared with you, please comment below. If any of it's blessed you, please tell me the value you've gotten. If you have questions, please tell me that. I'll answer them next week. Also, let me ask you to do me a favor. I come in here for free and pour into you, right? I want you to invite at least a sister friend or two to join us. Because listen, it's my calling in this thing called life to help every woman that I can get to get in alignment with her God given assignment. And so you can help me do that by sharing this message. So there's a share button below. You can share it to your Facebook page. Those of you that are in my Women of Brilliance Tribe watching the video, you have to come out and go to my business page, which is amplifyyourbrainsmonday.com is where my business page is, and you can share it. Those of you in YouTube, there's a share button on YouTube, right? So with that, I'll be back with you again next Monday, 7 p.m. EST, to continue our conversation. Don't stay stuck as our theme through the end of May. Oh, it's so much for me to share with you just from that topic. All right. So with that said, y'all have a phenomenal rest of your Monday. I'll see you next week. Bye, y'all. I said bye and I ain't even ready. Look, I'm doing too many things. Bye, y'all.